all the others are wrong or false. Okay, that's exclusivism.
Sure.
Inclusivism is saying that they are all describing from different perspectives or with different sets of statements the same, describing things about the same
Is that Hicks' position?
higher power. I think that's John Hicks' view.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's incoherent.
Yeah, I would say I
So
couldn't agree with that either. I think that doesn't follow. That doesn't logically follow. It doesn't follow observation at the very least.
No, exclusivism follows from the point that all propositions are worldview specific. Okay, so this idea that other religions, have aspects of the truth is simply incoherent. It's like the spokes of a wheel. The hub of the wheel is the grounding, or the first principle of a worldview, and the spokes are all the propositions. So
ElderDrazi.
it means that any proposition is specific to the grounding of a worldview. Therefore, only one worldview can have truths.
Okay.
So are you saying sup?
So ElderDrazi.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
So that's so inclusivism is not your view, right?
No. So John Hicks is pluralism. I guess I'd have to think about like how I would put this into. Inclusivism. Like, I would say it's fairly inclusive. Like I don't think that you could come to the same kind of like pinnacle that I feel that I came to by like reaching out to like many gods. I don't think that would happen.
It's not coherent. Are all
But,
propositions worldview specific?
Well, I mean that's not relevant to the conversation him and I were having.
No, you just said you're inclusivistic, right?
No, I said I'm not sure.
He said he's not sure. He hasn't heard about John Hicks.
Yeah.
Do you believe that different worldviews have overlapping truths?
Well, I mean, of course they do.
Okay, that's not coherent.
Well, I mean, really?
Really?
So I mean, I could think.
Did you hear my explanation a minute ago?
You have to accept the parallel, though. I don't think you have to accept that parallel grounding.
Elder, do you recall what my explanation was?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking strictly in the context of like God, then sure, I can maybe agree to that. I'd probably have to think about that too. But
I didn't mention God.
Okay, then I disagree with you.
Okay, well then your position is incoherent. And I'll explain it again to you. Okay, all propositions, their truth value, are worldview specific. Do you understand that?
Sure, but you can have different worldviews and still have overlapping truths.
No, that's incoherent, and I'm going to explain why. Okay.
Go ahead.
There can only be one true worldview. Okay? Now,
So wait, just let me ask real quick because I think I know what you're saying. All right.
I'm trying to finish. Okay, I'm going through this slowly because if I go through it, don't overtalk me. Now, if I go through it quickly, then people don't understand it. That's why I'm speaking slowly, plus because it's in wee hours of the morning. Now, all propositions, when they are given, have a truth value. Okay? Now, propositions are worldview specific. You cannot have a proposition and it having a truth value that is not worldview specific. Okay? Then it would have no frame of reference, it would have no context for which it to be placed in. Okay?
So are you meaning to say?
So many times people make propositions without explicitly detailing in conversation the worldview that it comes from. But it is nonetheless inherent. Okay? It is inherent. There is not a proposition that you can offer that is not putatively worldview specific. Now, if you want to dispute that propositions are worldview specific, good luck. I'll entertain you, but that attack is not going to survive very long. But once you realize that propositions are worldview specific, Therefore, only one worldview can be true, and the only propositions that can have a value of true are from that worldview, and other worldviews would be necessarily false. Therefore, there couldn't be true propositions in those false worldviews.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
But isn't that just confined under your personal worldview?
Yeah, but he's attesting that his is the only one that's true.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me explicate my worldview?
No, but in order to actually
No. Okay,
consider
good. Now you're
one,
then you
hold on,
good.
Can I
you said
finish? Can I finish?
no. No, you
He,
can't.
he, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to talk when he's here.
Shut your mouth, Elder. Okay. No. What happened?
He's the smartest one here. Only he can talk.
Okay. Don't overtalk me. Now,
I mean, you kind of came and bombarded our conversation,
listen,
but we can't overtalk you. Okay.
I suggest you not troll me. Okay.
I mean, or what, homie? I'm allowed to do what I want to.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll tell you one more time. I strongly suggest that you do not troll me on this server.
Homie, I'm not trolling you. I'm just not. I just don't have to suck your dick.
Listen to me carefully, okay? That you have now violated my warning. I will tell you one more.
Your warning? Holy shit!
Listen to me.
He brought out the big guns, boys.
Listen to me very carefully.
Everyone, let's just
Listen
calm down
very
here, all right?
carefully. Okay, listen very carefully. People who have trolled me on this server, like you have just done in the last couple of days, have ended up being kicked off the server. The owner of the server values my participation more than anyone else. I helped kickstart the server, okay? And there's an unwritten rule between me and the owner that he's not going to allow gratuitous attacks and nonstop trolling in other rooms. Now, if you don't want your membership in the room, in this server, jeopardized, I strongly suggest you stop trolling me now.
I mean, I'm not trolling you. You came in here and interrupted a conversation we were having.
Now,
Dawkins, I've had talks with the owner as well.
Yeah, same, buddy.
listen, keep on the trolling. You'll see what happens.
It's not trolling if somebody doesn't want to put up with, like, you just, like, steamrolling them, dude.
Okay, no, when you're going to be gratuitously crude and obscene with me...
Literally, nobody even asked you to fucking butt into the conversation.
Listen, you can get angry all you want.
I know I can.
If you want to continue in this fashion, being abusive to me...
Abusive.
I don't mind you disagreeing with me, but I do mind you gratuitously over-talking and being abusive to me. If you don't stop, there's going to be consequences.
I mean, I guess I could get kicked out of the Discord server that I've literally paid to boost. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Okay.
But like I just think that you're being extremely rude to people here when they're trying to talk, and you overtalk people like fucking crazy.
Well,
No,
I mean, as
you were
long as we
the
just
one-
keep things civil.
No,
okay?
Elder.
What?
You're the one who were repeatedly over-talking me, okay? And then you accuse me of over-talking. I was responding to the other gentleman, and you a number of times, you over-talked me, and then when I object to it and I warned you to stop, you became abusive. Okay?
Well, what you were starting to overtalk me.
I'm not going to argue with you about it.
He's just going to overtalk you. He's not going to argue with you.
I'm not going to argue with you about this point any further.
So let's just try this again. Okay, guys.
So let's get back to the issue of worldviews, okay? All
Okay.
worldviews all propositions are worldview specific. Okay, point number one. Point number two, there can only be one true worldview. Consequently, only one worldview can assign the truth value of true to proposition. Consequently, there cannot be propositions that have a value of true in multiple worldviews. Okay?
According to, but in order to believe that, I would have to also believe that there is one completely true worldview, and that not all of them are false.
You would first of all, when you speak, you're actually presupposing that the worldview that you speak from is that one.
I'm presupposing a lot of things when I speak, correct?
That's true.
Not a rebuttal. That's not a rebuttal to what I just said.
I'm asking you
Now,
a question.
When you speak,
Okay.
at any time, whatever propositions that come out of your mouth, whether you realize it or not, you are presupposing that the worldview that you are speaking from is true. It
I'm presupposing a
necessarily
lot of things.
follows. Okay, that's irrelevant.
What do you mean it's irrelevant?
Your last response is not relevant.
I have to presuppose things in order to actually think.
I understand that, but the point is simply this: in order for you to speak any propositions that are putatively true, okay, they're going to emanate from your model of reality, and you
Correct.
consequently must, whether you realize it or not, presuppose its actuality or veridicalness.
I don't hear a
it doesn't-
disagreement yet.
I don't hear our disagreement. It doesn't mean that my worldview is is like actually completely true. It might be true in my mind, but it doesn't mean it's in the grand scheme of things logically true.
Yeah, you're not understanding. When you invoke propositions as putatively true, do they implicitly derive and depend on your presupposition that your worldview is true or not?
Do I? Yes, I do.
Good. Then I was right.
What you didn't disagree with me.
Yeah, dude, you're a moron.
Okay.
Well, hold on. We don't need to call anybody morons here. But
I don't know
Oh,
what I'm.
Dawkins ad homs like crazy.
I just explained
That's
something to
not
you
necessarily
several
that
times, and you keep on flip flopping. What's your name?
Call.
Okay, yeah, you keep on flip flopping. Okay, so the bottom line is what started this discussion is the idea that different worldviews can have overlapping truths. That is not coherent. That's a common belief. It's a widespread.
Dawkins
belief,
came in the middle of
but
my
it's not
conversation.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
That's who that was?
Darth, can I ask you a question about that?
He must still be salty about my comment from last night.
I'd actually like to ask a question about that particular thing. That there, two different worldviews can't
Do the
have
same shit he did last-
the same
or
statement
yesterday?
as
Mhm.
as true.
Um,
So-
no, because they
No, just recording.
They presuppose entirely different foundations, and something is true if and only if its foundation is actual.
Something is true if and only if its foundation is actual.
Yeah, you cannot
That's true.
disconnect a proposition from what is ultimate in that worldview. All truth claims will derive and depend on whatever the worldview that the proposition is invoked from.
That's
Correct.
harsh.
Which is why you can't presuppose an I which is why you can't say like the basis is I think therefore I am, because then you're presupposing an I. Am I wrong?
I made that argument yesterday.
What I just heard, that was just gobbledygook.
He's
what
still
you just
fucking
said.
talking to you, huh?
Okay, so if two people from two different worldviews, both both say the sky is blue, they're looking at the sky and it's blue. If they're coming from two different worldviews, is it just a coincidence or an accident that they're both saying the same statement? And they're in that same statement.
The statements are not the same. They are superficially the same, but they have implicit premises that are not directly stated. Do you know what an enthymeme is?
Yes.
Okay. Both of those propositions have enthymemes, unstated premises in them.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, that's fine.
If an atheist says the sky is blue and a theist says the sky is blue, okay, they seemingly are making the same proposition, but in actuality they are not. If we actually revealed what the unstated premises are behind that, we would find that the seemingly identical statements are in contradiction. Why? Is because each proposition is invoked in virtue of a different foundation or ultimacy of reality. Both of those ultimacies cannot be simultaneously true.
Isn't it the case though that the ultimacies aren't stated in the statement that the sky is blue?
They're either explicit or implicit.
Yeah, they're derivative of
They
prior
would be
presuppositions.
Well, here they would be implicit.
Right. And so if an atheist says the sky is blue and the implicit premise is because of not God, and the theist says the sky is blue because of God, then once we pull back the curtains and we reveal the implicit framework, to it, it turns out that those statements are in contradiction.
Hey, Darth, can I ask you a question I wanted to ask yesterday?
It's not that the statements are in contradiction, it's that the worldviews are in contradiction.
No, but the propositions are worldview specific.
Okay, so if the propositions are worldview specific,
If
if
you
someone
ignore,
if someone is superficially saying the sky is blue and you say the sky is blue, you're actually both saying two different propositions, even though it sounds like the same statement.
look, if I say I have $1 million and somebody else has $1 million, but then you pull back the curtains and you find out that the other person has $1 million in U.S. cash in the bank and I have $1 million in monopoly money, we're not making the same statement. Okay? So the point is, all propositions are worldview specific, and they're only true in virtue of the ultimacy that they are derived from. So when we say that two people from different worldviews make the same statement, they are superficially the same. In actuality, they are contradictions to each other.
All right, so the two different propositions that, yeah, okay. All right.
Can I ask you a question, Darth?
Sure.
How do you justify how do you justify the knowledge that God is real and that God is the ultimate truth?
How do I justify that?
Yeah.
Not just God, the Christian.
By
God.
appealing.
The Christian God. How okay, how do you do that?
By the only way that one could do that, and that is to appeal to his revelatory actions.
No, I'm saying how do you make the action of appealing?
Okay, we would appeal to both God's natural and his special revelation. God's natural revelation, the Christian God, is that he has revealed himself in all facts. All facts, including my rational acquisition of those facts, God has made it so that we know unmistakably, because there are facts, then God exists. God has also interceded in human history and given special revelation of his existence. So we know of God's existence through his natural revelation and his special revelation.
How do you justify the understanding of your sense perceptions that allows you to interpret God's truth?
The justification of my sense perception is it's the same answer, through God's natural and special revelation.
Yeah.
What if
Listen, there is no other way.
But that's circular.
That's right. Now, do you object to that in principle?
Well, not in as so much as I don't object to it in principle, no. But however, that means that I can't object in principle to anybody who's using some kind of presupposition to justify their worldview.
No, that's false, because then
What gives God the special quality?
You can object to somebody making a similar claim is if the ultimacy in question does not have the sufficient properties and attributes for human intelligibility.
Now remember,
So
when Darth is saying all
the
this
only
stuff,
way, let me
it's from
finish.
his worldview.
Let me finish. If you do not object in principle, then you will either accept what I'm saying, or you will object to what I'm saying, not in principle, but because rational, the epistemological justification will be in virtue of your worldview and its ultimacy. And then you're going to have to tell me what that is.
Even if I accept it, I wouldn't be in agreement.
Okay. Elder, do you realize the situation you're in? If
Yeah,
you object to
correct.
my epistemological framework, if you object to it, you will either object in principle or not in principle. You just stated that you're not objecting in principle. So therefore, what you are objecting to is that the epistemological justification, since it is not in virtue of my grounding, the God of the Bible, it will be in virtue of your model of reality and its grounding.
Well, there might have been a miscommunication here. I'm saying I don't object to it in the respect to in principle any more than I object to anybody other's justification for a worldview, but based on their presuppositions.
You don't know what you're talking about. The way you just said is patently absurd. Okay, everybody has a worldview.
Okay, you have to explain why it's absurd.
I'm trying to. You are over talking. Okay? Everybody has a worldview, right? Which is an ontology. Okay? It's the nature of being on a grand scale, as opposed to the nature of being of a rock. Okay? Everybody has an ontology, and everybody has a theory of knowledge in epistemology. Okay? Now, when you ask me, how do I know this? How do I know that? My bottom basic answer is it is in virtue of the revelatory actions of the God of the Bible. God's revelatory actions are much broader than most people understand. It involves all of his creative work, including my being imbued with being in his likeness. Okay, so my sense perception, as you brought up, is simply I know this because I couldn't think otherwise because of God's plan about how human beings are to think at a fundamental cognitive level. Now,
Yeah, but I take issue with the cognition.
if you object to my epistemology, you'll either object to it in principle or because you have a different ontology of epistemology. So which is it?
So I like I said, I don't object to it in so much as that I don't object to anybody having certain presuppositions in which they have to base everything on.
Did you hear my question?
No, what
What was the last thing I just said?
Wait, call. Hold on a second.
What was
Let
the last
Darth and
thing I
Elder
said?
finish.
Elder.
I'm sorry, what? I couldn't hear you.
You see, you're talking past me. The last thing I
was
said,
being
did
quiet.
you recall what it was?
No, other people were talking while you were talking. I didn't hear.
Before you started talking, I asked you a question. Do you recall what it was?
No, could you repeat it, please?
Okay, so you're not really paying attention to what I'm saying, okay? I will repeat what I was said, and then I'll give the question that you didn't answer. I said, either you reject in principle or you don't, okay? If you reject in principle, it's because we have different ontologies, okay? Now, if you don't object in principle, okay, then you will object because your epistemology is derived from a different ontology.
But I don't object in principle.
So, well, then you hold to the Christian worldview.
No, I don't object in principle because you're basing this off of. Hang on, I gotta answer. I can only answer.
To the Christian worldview.
Can I answer? Do I have to answer the way you want me to answer?
All I want to know is, do you hold to the
Yeah,
Christian
but that's not all I want to say.
That's fine. I will shut up. All I want to know is, do you hold to the Christian worldview?
No. Now I get to say the thing, right?
Okay, so we have different ontologies then.
I get to say my thing now?
Sure.
Okay, I don't object to it. Or I don't object to it only insofar as I have to accept that you have certain presuppositions that have to come before any other rationalization of anything.
You don't object to it. What is it?
I don't object to you having some sort of foundational ideologies, some sort of presuppositions, which you've stated that God's real.
You're not, okay, now
Look, I don't object that all reasoning has to be circular at the bottom level. I don't object to that.
Okay, now, you said you don't hold to the Christian worldview, so you and I are speaking from two different frames of reference, two different ontologies, okay?
Yeah.
So therefore, when I explain to you what my theory of knowledge is, which is derived and depends entirely on my ontology, you couldn't possibly accept that.
I reject it. I mean, I might be able to accept it if I had some sort of experience that would lead me to believe that. However,
You're not understanding this.
You're over talking me. You're over talking me.
Okay.
I'm talking. You're over talking me.
I'm over talking you because you're confused.
Okay, so if I think you're confused about what I'm saying, I get to overtalk you, right? That's the rules.
No, I'm trying.
Only you?
I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah, but I'm trying to finish. Can I finish what I'm saying though? I'm allowed to finish. All right, so let me finish instead of over talking me, please. But you're over talking me. Can you please stop over talking me, Darth?
Okay, so this will be after you get done, and I have a follow up. That will be the last time I talk with you because you don't know how to have an adult conversation.
I mean,
Hold on, time out. If there's anyone actually making any kind of callings, anything like that, it'll be the moderator.
If we wrap
here.
this up, I won't be talking. You don't understand these issues. That's why you're getting hyper.
I just don't like being overtalked. I just have this bad habit of getting frustrated when I'm trying to speak and somebody interrupts me for whatever reason.
Elder, can we give?
Yeah, you don't understand. So go ahead and say what you have to say, and then I'll respond.
Can we? Just Elder, can you finish? Because Call wants to interact with Darth too a little bit.
No, he can go ahead. I don't want to make anybody upset by making Darth leave.
Okay, good. So you don't know what you're talking about, okay? The point is this: if we have a different ontology, okay, different nature of being and its ultimacy, okay, then there cannot be an agreement on anything.
I do have a different ontology.
Okay, good. Therefore, we cannot agree on anything at a metaphysical level, because truth propositions and their truth values are worldview specific and in virtue of their ultimacy. So when you were asking me about my epistemology, how do I know things? I explained to you how I know things vis-a-vis God, okay, which is my ontology. You can't have an epistemology without an ontology, and you can't have an ontology without an epistemology.
Well, I would say that your epistemology or your ontology is dependent on my ontology. You couldn't arrive to your conclusion without my ontology.
Okay, you're listen. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You don't know what my ontology is.
Let me explain to you. Well, you've already answered the question when I asked you is do you hold to the Christian worldview, and you said no.
Yeah, but I think without my ontology you can't arrive there.
Listen to me. Listen carefully, all right?
Yep.
Once you told me you don't hold to the Christian worldview, it tells me right away that we have different ontologies. Okay?
Correct.
Our ontologies are irreconcilable. Right? They are mutually exclusive and mutually contradictory
Run
to
away
each other.
from you.
So
You run
it
away
is
from
not
you.
surprising that you will then reject my epistemology. Okay? Now, if you're going to object to my epistemology, all right,
Yeah.
you're doing so because of your ontology.
Yeah, I have an ontology that I think can allude to yours.
If you okay, so my ontology is the God of the Bible and his creation that he institutes and sustains. What is your ontology?
Consciousness is the foundation which everything emerges from, and you can't even begin to conceive of a God. You can't even begin to conceive of a God without first accepting that all things arise from consciousness. Because without consciousness, you could never. Yeah.
You're the guy I debated the other day.
Yeah, I tried to make that clear earlier.
Yeah,
Sorry if
yeah,
it's misled.
You're clueless. Okay. Now, when
Can you
talk
explain
about
why that's not the case, though?
Okay. Well, I explained it to you the other day. I'll be glad to go over it again with you again. Okay. Now, what is it specifically, without a monologue?
No,
what
that's
is
not
it
how you
that
do
is
it.
ultimate, absolute, and the source of all possibility?
I'm sorry. Say that again. You cut out.
What is it that is ultimate and absolute, and the source of all possibility and impossibility?
I mean, we can't even begin to discuss it unless we accept consciousness as a primary foundation, because in order to
My question.
well, consciousness, but you can't even have a conversation unless we presuppose consciousness.
This is why I can't. It's difficulty conversing with you because this is going right over your head. Listen carefully. What is it that is ultimate? Absolute.
Consciousness.
Okay, let me finish.
Okay.
See, this is you're repeating the same errors that you did the other day, and this is why it ended very badly for you. Okay, what is it that is ultimate, absolute, and is the source and basis of all possibility and impossibility?
I would very much argue that consciousness is.
Okay, how do you know about that? What is this consciousness? Does it have a name? Does it have properties and attributes?
You can't have properties and attributes without it. Therefore, it is ultimate because anything that could be or couldn't be can only arise from consciousness.
Yeah. You
Can I help out a little bit?
No. I wanna make a
ElderDrazi
point.
briefly described it earlier to me as collective consciousness. Is that right, ElderDrazi?
Okay.
I don't believe that reality emerges from that, just consciousness itself. I'm not going to presuppose the God in my argument.
Okay, Elder. Okay. So here's the problem. Okay.
God sits at a level above my presupposition of consciousness.
God is the concept that there is
Let me show
a
you.
mind, an agent that is eternal, ultimate, absolute, and the institutor of all possibility and impossibility. When you say consciousness, is that the same thing as a mind?
I mean, it depends on how you want to define mind. What do we mean by mind?
A mind is an agent that has a ability to reason, a will, emotions. Is
I don't know if it meets all that criteria.
Do you believe that what is ultimate, absolute, and the source of all possibility, is it an agent?
I couldn't possibly know that.
Okay, good. Now what you're appealing to then, whatever you appeal to as ultimate, is
Yes.
the void. Okay, it's called the void. All right. The reason why it's a void is there would be no possible way for you to know then what is eternal and ultimate unless it was a mind, and that mind or that agent decide it had the sufficient properties and attributes to engage in communication and revelation to you.
Well, if we just wanted to shave down your definition of mind, I'd be a bit more agreeable. Like, I don't necessarily like the idea of like emotion being included in the. Yeah, can you stop over talking me for a minute? Hang on, can you stop over talking me?
This is why it is so next to impossible to converse.
Because you're the only one who's allowed to overtalk. You're overtalking me. You're interrupting and overtalking me.
You're borderline schizo here. Listen carefully. Can you repeat back to me what I said to you?
I'm not going to do that because you interrupted me and overtalked me.
Then the conversation is over. You're
You demand respect. You're not willing to give back to me. This doesn't seem like it's good faith.
No, dude, you do not converse or debate with adult sensibilities.
You don't converse and debate with good faith.
Well, I beg to differ. The point is this: is every time I make a point or ask a question, you have a flight of reason that is a springboard to semi-related issues, and you do not focus at what your opponent last says, and including any question.
Well, you don't let me get around to it. You cut me off and overtalk me.
You're not understanding. Listen, you know what the word obtuse means?
Yeah, I feel very much the same way as.
Okay.
Here.
You're very obtuse in this discussion. You are completely unaware of your lack of understanding.
I don't know if you're trolling me or if you're like deliberately being egregious.
I'm dead seriously, because in my conversation with you the other day and here today, whenever you respond to what I say, it is always on a semi-related path. You are not specifically responding to what I said in my last statement and question.
I actually went over our debate from yesterday. There was only 3 times that I spoke that you didn't interrupt me. So I don't think that your argument that I don't hold up.
Again, you're displaying again that last remark. You're completely ignoring and going on to a semi-related rabbit trail. Okay. Now, this is precisely your problem. You don't have the ability to focus on what your opponent is saying, and directly respond to the last thing your opponent says. When you do respond, you respond to a semi-related issue. This is the problem.
You don't ever let me get around to the issue, though. You don't let me finish talking. You overtalk me.
Do you believe what is ultimate and absolute and the source and basis of all possibility is an agent and a mind?
It depends on how we define mind. I don't like exactly your definition. So if we have to use your specific definition of mind, if we could shave it down a little bit, I'd be willing to agree that it's a mind. But the inclusion of emotion, I think would not necessarily. I can't presuppose that emotion is required for a mind to exist in the way that I would say consciousness.
We're talking about affect, okay? Whether there are positive or negative feelings toward other states of affairs: approval, disapproval, acceptance, non-acceptance. Okay.
By emotions. So we can substitute the word emotion here for like logic and understanding, then, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. See,
okay. In that case,
you are so.
Look, when people use words in a debate, sometimes we need to clarify to make sure people are agreeing. I need to know what I'm agreeing to.
I just have to tell you. Listen, I've debated thousands of people over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You're one of those rare individuals that I occasionally come across that you're emotionally crippled in the conversation, all right? And you don't know how to focus on what I'm saying to you. Now, either you accept what is ultimate is an agent, or it is not an agent. Which is it?
I would have to say it's definitely more of an like I said, if we can redefine emotion to mean that, then yeah, I would say it's an agent. Sure.
Okay, so now we finally got a clear answer. Okay, now, how do you know about this agent?
Because I experience consciousness.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything to me, what you just said.
I guess that's not necessarily like my issue. Like I mean, I don't know what that means for you to not understand that. Do you experience consciousness?
That does not mean anything to me. How do you know that what is ultimate, that it is an agent?
Because I presuppose certain things that would lead me to this conclusion.
Okay, that bottom basic presupposition, is it the product of a justificatory path from that agent?
Is it a product of what? Say that again.
A justificatory path.
Mm-hmm.
Is that agent communicating to you?
I would say no. It is not communicating to me.
Okay, if it's not communicating to you, then you would not have the capacity to know anything at all, because then you're not going to know what is or cannot be. Okay, first of all, you wouldn't be able to know any of the characteristics, properties, or attributes of the agent, nor would you know how this agent, who is ultimate, how it instituted or instantiated what are the parameters of existence. So consequently,
well, right, I would have to use circular reasoning.
No. Okay. Well, that's right. And then that type of circular reasoning, which is not the type of circular reasoning that is from your ultimate commitment, that type of circular reasoning is fallacious.
I mean, I would argue otherwise. I would say that my circular reasoning is that I can interpret consciousness because I can experience consciousness.
You're not understanding your error.
I guess, so can you help me understand by telling me what the difference is? Is the difference between mine and you? Hey, can I finish my question?
Wow.
Real quick.
You're an emotional train wreck.
I just want to finish my question. You were over talking me. I just wanted to finish it so that way I could get the answer so I can understand.
My account that after night not to speak with you again.
Because
I've been listening to you two for the past couple of days, and I'm gonna tell you something else. You just say a bunch of crap that makes no sense.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. You truly do not know what you're talking about.
Me or pro-choice?
Now, Elder, listen very carefully. Okay?
Wait, can I ask my question though? I didn't actually get to ask it.
Sure, go ahead. I'll humor you.
Okay, so is the difference between my circular reasoning and your circular reasoning simply that God ordains your circular reasoning, whereas God doesn't ordain my circular reasoning?
Okay. Circular reasoning will either entail the communication from that which is ultimate or not. Okay?
So that'd be a yes, right?
I'm trying to explain it. Listen, dude. You need to grow up a little bit and listen carefully, okay? Circular reasoning, when it entails a revelation from that which is ultimate, if it has the sufficient properties and attributes, okay, then that type of circular reasoning is unavoidable and is the only way to know things. If circular reasoning that you're talking about is not within that parameter, then that circular reasoning is fallacious.
Oh, I argue that mine is, though. Mine very is. I can accept consciousness as the foundational or emergent property because I can experience it.
Are you in any way related to T-Jump?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you're not getting this, okay? Listen carefully. Circular reasoning will either be invoked in terms of what is ultimate and an agent and has the sufficient properties and attributes to communicate about itself, okay? Now, if the circular reasoning is not that, any other circular reasoning is fallacious because it will be arbitrary.
Okay.
The reason why an ultimate agent is not arbitrary, right, is because without acknowledging that the ultimate agent is the final court of appeal, then you couldn't assert anything without being entirely arbitrary.
So we acknowledge...
Go
ahead.
Okay, can you just shut the fuck up for a minute?
Whoa, I said go ahead. I thought you were done. I stopped and said go ahead.
I want to ask you a question, okay? And
of course you do.
It's for my benefit to know what the kind of person I'm dealing with. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a criticism right now. It's not intended to throw you over the bus. You reason like a cantankerous 50-year-old.
Okay.
There's no way, dude. I'm 34. There's no way.
You do not reason like a mature adult. And I'm not saying that because we disagree. I disagree and have debates with mature adults all the time, and I do not give them that characterization. You are an emotional train wreck. You think you have far greater capacities to understand these issues than you do. You just keep on repeating the same mantras and catchphrases from your belief system without stepping back and trying to understand what is being spoken to you. Listen very carefully. There's two kinds of circular reasoning. Okay, one is fallacious and the other is not. Okay, the kind of circular reasoning that is not fallacious is when it emanates from that which is an agent and is the ultimate authority, the ultimate court of appeal to for which there is no other further appeal to determine that anything is. Okay. Now, if somebody rejects that in principle, it's philosophically and epistemically suicidal. Okay, because then nothing could be determined, and consequently, all statements would be arbitrary. So, setting aside that type of circularity, all right, any other type of circularity is fallacious. And in philosophy, the reason why it is considered to be fallacious is because it is deemed to be arbitrary. Okay, do you understand what I've just said?
Yeah. Can I ask what you mean by communicate then? There, in your description of
communication, it means a type of revelation.
Okay. Can you give me your definition of revelation?
What's that?
I was just asking if you could define revelation for me then.
Revelation would be some type of communicative process from one agent to another.
Wait. We're using revelation to define what communication means. So like it's confusing to me if you use communicate to define revelation.
If I am an American Indian living 200 years ago, decide to send smoke signals, that is a form of communication. It is revelation. It is a communication of information from one agent to another. If somebody does sign language to somebody who's deaf, when they manipulate their fingers, they are engaging in revelation. They are communicating from one agent to another information.
Okay, then yeah, I would argue that consciousness does fit that bill then.
Consciousness is a vague, ethereal term. When you say consciousness, it is ambiguous. So in order to make your position more clear, you have to provide greater specificity. Okay?
Okay.
What consciousness? Are you talking about my consciousness? Are you talking about your consciousness?
Well, I can't justify either of our consciousness. I can't justify. All I can justify is that there is consciousness. Like I can't justify myself's existence.
You can't justify anything.
Well, I can justify consciousness
based upon what you told me. Okay. You is what is ultimate and absolute. The institutor of all possibility and impossibility is that an agent.
So yes, I would say that it is.
Okay, what is that agent and how do you know about him?
The agent is consciousness, and I know about consciousness because of my ability to You're over talking me.
I want to make.
Can I finish? Can you do it after I'm finished my statement? Because you're over talking me.
I'm trying to help you because you keep on doing the same error.
No, I mean, I'm still trying to talk, and you're over talking me.
I'm trying to help you. Okay.
Can you help me after I'm done with my statement?
No, I want to help you right now. Okay?
Oh, it's only okay for you. Okay.
No, this is the same problem that happened today, and it happened yesterday. You keep on throwing out this catchphrase, consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. It would behoove you to stop with this catchphrase because it is ambiguous. It is equivocal. You are not doing yourself any service by simply using this non-specific term. Okay? Now, how do you know this agent and how do you know its properties and attributes?
I know this agent through the revelation of experiencing consciousness.
Okay, I asked you not to use the word consciousness, okay? Because you keep on using it in an equivocal and an ambiguous fashion. When you talk about consciousness, what consciousness? Whose consciousness?
Why does it have to belong to somebody?
Because agents are the only ones that you can appeal to consciousness. Otherwise, you're confusing consciousness with sentience.
It doesn't necessarily have to belong to anybody. He's just asking for clarity about the term consciousness.
No, when you invoke
well, he said whose.
Listen to me. Do you understand the difference between consciousness and sentience?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're talking about consciousness and not sentience, okay, you have to be specific. This is why I've asked you several times to stop throwing around this equivocal, ambiguous term of consciousness. Now, I want to know specifically, in detail, how you came to know of the properties and attributes of this agent. Who and what is this agent?
I wouldn't ascribe a who to it. I don't think that's something that you can do.
If it's a who, if it's an agent, then you can say who.
That's not true. Based on the definitions that we've given.
An agent is going to be a persona. Okay, so
okay, then I no longer agree that it's an agent. That wasn't part of the original definition that we agreed upon.
Okay, listen, dude.
You're walking back on what you said.
You're a 30-year-old man. You literally are reasoning to me and being argumentative like a teenager. That's why it's so difficult to debate and converse.
Was I the one throwing a hissy fit and saying like I'm gonna get you banned from this server, or was that me throwing the teenage hissy fit? Wait, that was you, Darth.
That wasn't a hissy fit. That was me letting you know you're not gonna get away with trolling me. If you want to categorize it as a hissy fit, you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to tell you, I am not going to tolerate unrelenting trolling. Now let's get back to the discussion. Now, you 1 minute you say it's an agent, next minute you're not. So let's make this.
You change the definition.
Is what is ultimate, and the institutor and securer of all possibility and impossibility, an agent or not an agent?
No, not with the additional definition of needing to be a persona.
Okay, good. So now you flip-flop. So it's not.
Well, you didn't include persona in your original description of it.
Okay, yeah, dude, you are so immature. And
am I lying right now?
No, you lack the ability of clarity of thought and focus in conversations.
Well, I think that you just weren't. I mean,
What you were asking.
You know.
You literally did.
You're so self-unaware. It isn't funny.
Darth, no, I think you misspoke one of the times.
On which part?
Now,
well,
listen.
Oh, sorry, you said Darth, not Elder.
Okay, so what is ultimate is not an agent. So we're talking about that.
By your new definition, correct.
It's not a new definition. I'm using the term agent in its normal.
Well, I asked you to define it, and you didn't include persona.
Listen to me. You see, right there, you're demonstrating you mentally and emotionally, you're not well equipped to
Darth,
carry
but
on.
you're running into
Shut
a
up,
problem.
Giza. Do not interfere.
Wait, so I'm bad when I overtalk, but you're not bad when you overtalk me?
Wait, guys, hold on. Not two on one, just one at a time. Elder, are you done? So Giza can start.
I just wanted to clarify one point, and that was that there was a shift here. There was a shift in what you were asking. Like you realize that, right? Like there's been two major shifts in this discussion, and one of them comes down to you saying you're using plain definitions, but then you're using an ontological argument to say that plain definitions, if you don't have the same worldview, aren't actually the same definition. So you can't just say something is a plain definition. You have to actually explain to someone who might have a different worldview than you what you are trying to say. And from what I can tell, Elder has a different worldview than you.
Okay, you're on ignore. Elder, your position. So now, what is ultimate is not an agent. Now, since it is not an agent, it cannot engage in revelation of itself. Okay, so what is ultimate, absolute, eternal, self-contained, and it's not an agent, right?
So not like I said.
Okay.
Who's saved for being a persona? Yes.
When the fuck are you gonna grow up and stop interrupting me?
Wait, so I'm immature when I interrupt you, but when you interrupt me, it's fine, correct?
No. When I have interjected when you were speaking, it's because you're repeating the same thing over and over again.
Homie, you repeat all the time.
And here we go again. Dude, I'm telling you for your own...
Look, this faux rage is
And
crazy.
You are conducting yourself like a snotty, angry 15-year-old. Okay.
You really are acting like a
Okay.
child.
Am I criticizing you? And yes, I am. Is it for the purpose of throwing you under the bus? No, it's for the purpose of helping you. You are showing a gross lack of maturity. Okay, you did yesterday when we debated, and you're doing so tonight. Now, let's get back to the discussion. Okay? When you deny what is ultimate and absolute, the institutor of all possibility, you have forever thrown away the ability and the capacity to know anything about what is ultimate. Therefore, whatever propositions you invoke, they will emanate from a void, metaphysically speaking. In other words, you don't know what the parameters of anything are. So therefore, consequently, anything is possible. And if anything is possible, then you can have no intelligibility for propositions. The intelligibility of propositions necessitate that certain things be off limits or impossible. Since what is ultimate is not an agent, you couldn't know about it. And since you don't know about its properties and attributes, you cannot know what is possible and impossible. And I will demonstrate it right now. Can you tell me can you know what is basically possible and impossible? Can you know that?
I mean, to a degree, as far as I can like imagine possibilities and impossibilities, sure.
No, I didn't ask you what you imagine. I said, can you know what is anything that is impossible?
So, are you asking me if I can know unknown unknowns?
Do you know if anything is impossible?
I mean, I guess to a degree, I don't think that anybody could. It depends on how we're framing it, really.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Like, repeating isn't clarifying.
Do you know if anything is impossible?
In what sense are we framing this?
Is anything impossible?
Let me know if you need help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting any clarification.
I don't want people to interject because this is demonstrating his cluelessness.
So if I ask for clarification and you repeat yourself, it's not helpful. It's not going to progress.
Do you know what the word possible and impossible mean?
I sure do, bud.
Okay, now, is it impossible for me to jump to the moon right now?
I mean, by typical standards, I would say that it is impossible. By typical standards. But I mean, I would say that, like, ultimately, no, it's not impossible. Ultimately, it is not impossible.
Okay, so it's not impossible for me to jump to the moon right now.
Correct.
So, okay, is it impossible for me to exist and not exist at the same time and in the same sense?
Under most frameworks, I would say no.
No, I want to know.
What do we mean by exist?
Is it something that has actual extant properties and attributes?
Then sure, I would say no. It is not possible.
Okay,
It's logically contradicts.
Okay, so some things in your view of existence, some things are impossible, right?
Some things that contradict in becoming like logically like fallible.
Something I don't need a mini community college lecture. All I'm asking is a simple question. So in your view, some things are impossible, right?
Some things like ideologically, yeah, of course. But like I would say it pertaining.
Some things are impossible, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, what is it at the ultimate level that institutes and secures that?
Well, I would absolutely say consciousness.
Yeah, I asked you before.
Yeah.
Not to use that term because your usage of it is equivocal and ambiguous.
Well,
It does not. Listen carefully. It does not. You see, this is your go-to phrase. This is the problem we had yesterday. This is the problem we had here today. This is your go-to phrase.
I mean, you invoke God.
Every time when I invoke God, God is not invoked equivocally or ambiguously. I'm very specific about the properties and attributes of God. Now, I'm going to ask you again.
I can
not
give
to
you
use another
properties
term, but you not
and
overtalk
attributes.
me, please. I'm asking you for the benefit of clarity in the conversation. Stop using this term because you have been using it in an ambiguous fashion. I want to know specifically what it is that is ultimate. Okay, meaning the ground of all existence that institutes what's possible and impossible. What is that?
One minute. Awareness.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay, so I can't use the word consciousness, and I can't use any other word. Cognition.
Well, I'm not opposed to anyone using that word as long as it's not used in an ambiguous, ethereal, and an equivocal manner, which you have used.
Well, I can give attributes of it. It just doesn't have a persona.
I want, if it doesn't have a persona and it's not an agent, how could you know about it?
I don't think that being an agent requires a persona.
Okay, you're again.
Well, no, maybe not.
Listen carefully.
I take that back.
Problem. You see, you don't know how to focus in a conversation. This is one of your problems. You need to focus on what your opponent is saying, especially when what your opponent is saying is germane, whether or not you agree with it. You see, this is what I strive to do. I try to strive to focus on what my opponent is saying as long as it's germane to the conversation. Now, how can you know what it is that is ultimate, that instantiates and sustains what's impossible?
Through my revelation of experiencing it.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Now
Good
you
night.
keep
I'm
on
taking off.
giving me these
You're
nondescript ethereal responses that are non-specific.
That's the same response you gave me to yours.
Okay, listen to me. That response that you just gave me is typical of what I said, a teenage mentality.
Okay, that doesn't invalidate it.
You're not, I didn't say it invalidated. I said it's typical of a teenage response.
Yeah, that's not germane.
Dude, listen to me. You're a 30-year-old man. You have the emotional IQ of an angry 15-year-old.
This isn't germane to the conversation, sir.
Okay, no, it is, because that's how you're conducting yourself.
Okay, but how I'm conducting myself isn't furthering the conversation.
Angry teenagers.
You're not responding to what I said.
Angry teenagers typically do not focus.
Well, you want to talk about teenagers now, not about what I was saying?
What I want to know. Wow, Tom Locke, is this amazing? Amazing, Tom Locke. Now, how can you know? Okay, by what specific means can you know what is ultimate?
By revelation of experiencing it.
Okay. Again, how many times have you heard me saying you're giving me an ethereal, ambiguous response? That doesn't tell me anything.
That's exactly the response you gave me for how you can justify God.
Okay, I'm still waiting for a specific, non-ambiguous response.
Can you explain to me what the difference? I guess if your response isn't ambiguous, can you explain to me the difference between my response and justification for consciousness and God? Yeah, I'm trying to give it to you, but I need you to clarify this for me because, as far as I can tell, these are identical.
Calm down. We're gonna have a fair exchange.
I am still waiting for you to give me a very clear and specific answer instead of giving me verbal ambiguity.
Like, in order to do so, I need you to explain the difference between your answer.
I don't need to explain my answer to
Then
you.
what?
I'll repeat the question. The question to you is.
Then what you're saying doesn't mean anything. I don't know what that means.
Listen. After tonight.
Okay, yeah, I know you're not talking to me again.
After tonight, there won't be any further conversation. You have an absolute, a very low emotional level IQ. Okay. Now. You can giggle all you want.
I know I can, homie.
Dude, stop that. Calm down.
You're an absolute train wreck. Okay.
Now,
if you were a 15-year-old, I could understand this type of disposition. But being that you're a 30-year-old man, your whole demeanor is off the charts. It's ridiculous. I want to know specifically what are the central attributes of what is ultimate, and how do you specifically, in non-ambiguous terms, know about it?
I don't know how to answer that. I haven't heard an example of this, so I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know what that means.
Do you know what's ultimate?
Yep, we went over that yesterday, but like it's very confusing because your explanation is exactly the same as mine, but mine's not valid and yours is. I don't know the difference.
What you just did is just white noise. Okay.
Yeah, I'm confused, and I'm asking you to clarify for me.
What are the specific properties of what is ultimate?
Repeating yourself doesn't help. Well, I already know what ultimate is. I don't need to prove that to you. I just need you to explain to me the difference here.
I'm waiting for an answer to the question.
I'm not interested in answering that question. I'm interested in you giving me clarification.
The conversation is now over. Okay, you demonstrated you do not have the intellectual ability to discuss these things in an adult manner. Okay.
You don't seem to have the capacity to clarify your position.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I have a great capacity.
That's all I've been asking. That's all I've been asking for.
Listen, to me, dude.
Then you have an unwillingness.
Hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, every single year. I rarely have problems in dealing with somebody like you. Okay, you are completely so self-unaware of how immature you are, and your inability to focus in a conversation. And another thing that you're unaware of, which I'll mention one more time, you are completely oblivious, or it seems this way, that you are speaking in equivocation and ambiguities. This is why it is next to impossible to converse with you.
I mean, all I asked for was clarification, and you won't do that.
From the guy who just speaks in ambiguities. The guy who speaks in ambiguities and non-specifics asks for clarity. That's just you know what? That's just amazing.
So, like I said, it's either an unwillingness or an inability to clarify what I asked for.
Dude, you are so self-unaware. It is.
Okay, that's cool. I'm self-unaware. Can you still clarify that position? I mean,
I'll be glad to answer your questions about my position. But where we left off was...
I can't answer without this clarification.
Notice again.
Don't overtalk. Nobody.
Okay, listen, this is the last chance, okay? I will repeat the question.
I can't. I can't answer it without the clarification.
Thank you. Then the conversation's over. Then the conversation is over. You are a mental and an emotional train wreck of an interlocutor. And you're unaware of your problem.
It doesn't matter who it is. I'll tell Darth not to overtalk, and I'll tell you not to overtalk too.
I mean,
Okay, well,
where were you when he was overtalking me? Sorry, Giza, go ahead.
Yeah, dude. You really need to examine yourself. You're a 30-year-old man, and you're conducting this way.
I was literally just made a moderator of this conversation like 5 minutes ago, dude.
Okay, well, hey, I didn't know that. I was just saying it didn't seem like it was happening on both
I want
ends.
to ask you a question. Have you ever been diagnosed with a mental problem?
I don't want to talk to you about anything like that. We're here to talk about other things.
So that means it's a yes.
okay. Well, Elder,
Darth,
since
don't.
Darth has claimed that the conversation with you is over, I want to go back to the conversation that we were having before he joined and rudely interrupted everyone.
Fuck off, you piece of garbage, Giza.
That's fine,
Fuck
but we were
off.
having a conversation when you came in and you
Yeah,
interrupted,
fuck off
and
with
you've
your
been
gratuitous
talking for an hour. So
attacks.
you said the conversation was over. So
I
I'm
did.
going
And
back
I'm
to the
telling you,
previous
fuck
conversation.
off, you little snide little.
So Elder,
I'm gonna put a note
I'm
in your account that
wondering,
you're a little troll.
Elder, I'm wondering what is the practical functions of the beliefs that you have? You
Well,
were about to go into this initially.
So I would first state before I actually explain the practicality of it, like it doesn't implicitly require a practicality. I just more or less see it as a truth. Some truths don't necessarily have practicality.
Sure.
Do you think that's a fair statement, Giza?
I just don't see this. I don't see the use of it then.
Well, I just think, can you agree that some truths don't necessarily necessitate a practicality to be a truth?
No, not from the position I'm coming from.
Oh, can you I mean, I can explain some practicality, but go ahead.
I'm a plural ontology pragmatist,
Sure.
so
So I would say that there is sorry, what did you ask me? What what was to it? I just want to make sure I'm using the right word.
Oh, I was saying that I don't see truth without function because I'm a plural ontology pragmatist.
That's right. You were asking me what the function of it is.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
like why is it pragmatic, right?